After the wedding, we had money.
We had
We
money.
were not broke. You don't need to buy clothes. See, don't allow anybody pressure you.
Don't allow anybody pressure you, please.
All these standards that people are saying. First of all, you don't even need to do pre-wedding shoots.
Yes,
Let's start from
it's
there.
not that serious.
And the biggest flex is to have money after your wedding. If you're worried about planning a wedding because you feel you don't have enough money, this video is for you.
Let's be honest, there are a lot of people who want to get married but keep pushing their wedding further and further away because they think, oh, I need to save more money to do what I need to do. And honestly, that might not be the case.
Yeah, this is something we can really relate to because at the time we chose to get married, we had just finished NYSC.
Yes, we just finished, graduated from NYC. In fact, I remember going to help you move back to your father's house, and then I proposed during that period, and we started planning our wedding. And honestly, at that point, all I was earning was the stipend from NYC and also a little bit more from a side job that I was doing.
Yeah, and at the time I was doing my master's, but I was also a teacher in a primary school, so I was just earning a small teacher salary.
Yeah.
So I also had my cake business on the side, but like we were not earning a lot of money.
Yes, we were.
Basically, we were just your very regular people. We don't come from rich families.
No,
we're not trust fund babies. We would have loved to be, but too late for us. Hopefully, I don't know. I'm going to give our children trust fund. Let's wait and see. They will work for their money anyway. But we can just relate to the struggle of being in love, wanting to get married, and then there's so much pressure from society as to the standard of what a normal wedding should look like. And then when you see what a normal wedding should look like, and then you now try to draw a budget.
It's not
so
adding up.
expensive.
It's so expensive.
How can I afford this in this current economy?
Yes.
It's so difficult.
Yeah.
So we're just sharing our story
About how we planned our wedding on a budget. Yeah.
Okay. So first of all, at the time we decided to get married, we said, what's important to us? What is important to us? What can we afford? So we said, first of all, to get married, we need clothes, right?
Yes. That was the first thing we actually bought.
Yeah, we said we need clothes. We need what we're going to wear, and when it comes to what we're going to wear, we were not looking for something expensive.
Yes, just something that looks nice.
Just something that looks nice. Honestly,
yeah.
I think that the fabric for my husband's traditional clothing, I'm trying to remember. It was like
bought it from
I
Lagos.
bought it in Lagos.
Yes,
But
so that's one thing
our
that we used to.
entire clothing,
Yeah.
our entire clothing for traditional wedding, for introduction, everything. I don't think for both of us. So that's
Yes.
I don't think the buying of the fabric, it was not up to 100K for both events.
Yeah, I don't think
It
so.
wasn't
And that's because we were going to Lagos for something.
Yes.
And so we planned that when
Exactly.
you go to Lagos, you will
I'll just
buy.
go to Balogun Market so I can get. We have a story on Balogun Market, by the way. If you've not watched the video, you should watch it. But I mean, we just decided it's cheaper to get fabric in Lagos, so we got our fabric as early as April.
Yes, I
and
think
our
it's
wedding,
April,
and our wedding was in November. So that's one way to save costs. Hey, go where you can get cheap fabric.
Yes.
We
And start
also-
planning early. Actually.
Yes, start planning early. We also did not change clothes at our traditional wedding.
Yeah.
We had only one
outfit,
and that's what we used. You don't
Throughout.
trust me, you don't need multiple
You didn't need
outfits.
multiple changes.
I don't
of
even
outfits.
think for our pre-wedding shoots we didn't sew any clothes.
No,
we just wore what we had. My husband had one, so he wore his suit. I wore my dress.
One suit.
We wore what we
No,
had.
it wasn't even suit self. I think it was trad. I wore trad.
You wore trad. We wore trad, and then you wore suit too.
Where did I get that suit from? Because
You had one suit from Yvonne's wedding, from your sister's wedding. That's the suit.
It can't be for myself. Maybe for my mom's wedding.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, from my mom's wedding.
I shall know you had one suit from your wedding. Anyway,
Wedding.
so we did not buy You don't need to buy clothes. See, don't allow anybody pressure you.
Don't allow anybody pressure you, please.
All these standards that people are saying. First of all, you don't even need to do pre-wedding shoots. Let's
Yes,
start from
it's
there.
not that serious. It's not that important.
You don't need to do pre-wedding shoots to announce them. Just announce your wedding. Nobody cares. I assure you. You
Nobody's
have
going to say, we don't do pre-wedding shoots.
like-
They are broke.
You have a happy marriage. Let me tell you why we even did pre-wedding shoot. Our pre-wedding shoot was free.
Yeah, exactly.
We didn't pay for it.
Yes, exactly. Someone
we
said,
couldn't afford to pay for it.
We could not afford.
If it
Someone
was not free,
said,
we wouldn't have done it.
we'll give you a friend of mine. Yes, a friend of mine said, "Oh, you're getting married. I would love to shoot your pre-wedding shoot." In fact, two different friends.
Yeah,
Two
actually,
different
yeah,
friends,
we had
yes.
2 different shoots. Oh my
Jimmy
god.
and Insane Kudi. So
Yeah, I
Jimmy
just
reached
remember
out and
that we
said,
had
"Oh,
2 shoots.
yeah."
Wow, that's so nice. God really favored us.
God favored
God
us.
really favored us.
See, please, this entire story is about God's favor, to be very honest. Because a lot of things that we did were because people gifted us.
Yeah.
And that's another thing I want to talk about. When you have great relationships around you, you'll be able to leverage on those relationships to cut costs. I'm not saying you tell them, "I'm getting married, you must do this thing for free for me." No, people of their own volition will
Yeah,
offer.
yeah.
And that's what really happened for us a lot of the time.
And also, bear in mind that we knew that God was leading us to get married at the
Exactly.
period we were getting married.
Okay.
It didn't make sense. Like, this was just a year after NYC. We had people ask us questions. How are you going to make it? How do you plan to have a wedding when you don't have enough money? But we decided to cut our costs.
According to our size.
As in, we
See,
cut our
that's another
costs.
thing.
Budget.
That's another thing.
Wedding on a budget. That's what we did.
Let me tell you guys. What's the most important thing? That you and your wife, you and your husband are together, comfortable, and you have gotten married. The day has come and passed. That's what's most important. Not that day.
Yeah.
Don't bend over backwards, breaking your... Like, there's something I read on Twitter. One guy said he borrowed money to have a wonderful wedding because his mother-in-law said that the wedding must be the talk of the town.
I already feel pain for him.
Do you know? Because he's still paying it back.
See, marriage is already hard without
already
debt.
hard.
It's like,
Imagine in this economy.
Marriage is hard for people that are not owing money. You don't need that extra pressure.
So we were not going to do something that we do not have the money for. And that's one thing that made us discuss this. Okay, we discussed, do we actually need a reception?
Yes.
Do we want it? And honestly, to me, receptions are wonderful and nice, but I felt like we don't have the money. So why are we doing something we don't have the money for?
Exactly. So we just, like I said, everything, we had a budget for everything. So even when it came to our traditional wedding, we're just like, okay, how do we do our traditional wedding on a budget?
Yes.
We had already gotten our clothes, so that was out of the way.
Yes.
We did the traditional wedding. We did not rent hall. We used my father's compound.
His father
we
has
got
a big compound.
we got canopies.
Yes.
And then the decorator. Decorator was one of my church members that does decoration. I just spoke to him and I was like, please, can I just give you... I think he volunteered, actually. He said... I can't remember if I spoke to him or he volunteered. Anyway,
he volunteered, actually.
He agreed to do the decoration for the church and for the traditional wedding. He said, just give me the cost of the materials. I'm not going to charge you for any other thing. So decoration too was basically free. I think I paid him, 50K or something.
For the materials.
For the materials. That was all. For him to rent the fabric and flowers, whatever he needed. That was all. And then the choir, the band. the band that sang at the traditional wedding was my church choir band. They were the ones that sang. So we did not pay for band. And then the alaga... The alaga too, we didn't pay for that. One of our church members, Mommy Kola, she asked, what can I give you for your wedding? And I said, oh, Mommy, please, we need alaga. I said, okay, no problem. I'll pay for a good one for you. So what did we pay for? Food. And then for the food...
There was someone that I know, like an aunt, a family friend, elderly family friend, who just said, oh, you're getting married. I have a poultry. I'll give you... How many chickens did you give us?
I think she gave us 300 chickens.
300 chickens, just like that. Do you know, when she said it, I was just like... This means so much to me. Like, it meant a lot. And so we had protein. And when you say how protein...
Like, and that's another thing. We didn't necessarily hire a caterer. So my mom knew a caterer that, like, was a friend. So the person handled the cooking, but the cooking was done. She just brought her tools, utensils, and people. And then we brought the chicken. We bought all the ingredients, basically. And she just came with her people to cook in our home. So that also cut down on the cost of
Listen, there's something I realized when it came to our wedding. It was more... We were more reliant on family and friends because we wanted a close-knit
wedding
ceremony. So it was just like a group of family and friends coming together for a celebration. So we're not trying to make it, want Instablock to carry it. We want Bella Naija to carry it. Like, if that's what you want and you can afford it, by all means. But our idea actually was that we wanted something that was very close-knit, very heartwarming, that we just wanted friends and family to come together. And that made us not spend too much if that was our idea. If we're thinking of, we want something that when people come to, like, wow, we would have gathered money to pay for an expensive caterer. Do you remember we went around just meeting people meeting people that were going to.
It was cake tasting.
Was it cake tasting? When she
Yeah.
was not, we didn't ask people for food.
No. So when we were thinking of if we wanted a wedding cake, we actually went for cake tasting. And when I tasted the cakes, because I bake, so when I tasted the cakes, I wasn't really impressed. And I was just like, do you know what? What's even the importance of a wedding cake for these months we spent? Do you know what? Scrap it. We don't
Off the list.
like off the list. We don't need a wedding cake. So these are the things basically we did for our traditional wedding and everything. We didn't spend a lot of money. People will say, "Oh, don't rely on your family when it comes to wedding. They will embarrass you." Me, I don't know. Sha, my family, they came through for me.
Our families came through for
know
us.
your family.
Yes. Know
Sha.
your family.
Where you are, maybe if your family doesn't come through, friends. So another thing, we didn't hire a photographer. My husband's friend, Steve. Shout out to you, Steve. And his sister Jenny is a photographer. And then there's Steve that's photographer. So they both covered our traditional wedding and our wife's wedding. So we didn't have to pay for a photographer. Yeah. Now, what did we do to cut down costs on our wife's wedding?
Yes.
So for our wife's wedding, I think that my mom's friend bought my wedding gown, so we didn't have to spend money on that.
Yeah.
Joshua
for
made
me,
a
for
suit.
my suits, like I already started planning before I even asked you out.
Wow.
For my suit, because
a man of faith.
Yes, I was living in faith. I already knew that okay, I want to get married to this girl, and if I ask her out, I'm telling her about getting married next year around this time, so I can start planning for that. So I had a friend I went to school with who was making suits now. So first and foremost, the time I was in Lagos, he came to measure me, and then my best man sent his measurements in, and he told us how much it was, and then we started saving. We paid a deposit and started sending little by little. So before, like I think 5 or 6 months before the wedding, we already completed the payments and everything. So another thing, if you plan ahead, you'll be able to make some payments early enough and cut down a lot of costs. So it's not a lot last minute and all this kind of things.
I think the major thing that we handled for the traditional wedding, I just remembered something, was just the list.
Okay, the list,
traditional wedding list.
That's where we spent a lot of money. Actually.
So we spent a lot of money on traditional wedding list.
But even that, even got
we
help
also
from
got
my
help,
mom,
yes. And there's a whole story behind that one too. You can, which you can also watch that video. Anyway. For our white wedding, one of the ways we started to cut down costs was my hair. I didn't hire like a hairdresser. My sister-in-law Claudia made my hair. My sister-in-law Jenny did my makeup, so I didn't have to pay for a makeup artist. So, and thank you Jenny, thank you Claudia. Shout out to you both for coming through for me. So, like I literally cut down. I was just like any unnecessary expense. Cut it down.
Yeah, and one of the biggest cutaways that we did on our white wedding was the reception. That's one of the biggest ones.
Yeah. That was
we just realized that, you know what, we have already done traditional, and everybody came, everybody ate, and that's
the traditional was like a reception. It was outdoor. People sat down. There was canopy, everything. So we're just like, we don't have money to spend on another ceremony the next day. We don't have money for that.
Especially because, like, for us, what was most important was our honeymoon.
Yes.
And then our comfort in the home we're going to live in together. So rather than take that money and spend it on just one day, we're just like, you know what, this is not as important as these other things to us.
Exactly. So for our white wedding, for our church wedding, basically, after church, we just gave people food in a bag, and then there was a souvenir. I think there was a jota, which my mother's family made the jota. So there was food, there was a jota, and we just handed that to everyone after the church.
Didn't we have souvenirs for this, like umbrellas? No, it's not umbrella. Was this
I think there was umbrella. There were some souvenirs.
Some
actually.
But in Lagos.
Did you? No. I think we bought them in Jos.
Sure.
Anyway, but people got
some souvenirs,
some
whatever
souvenirs,
they were.
and people got food, and that was it.
After the church ceremony, we just gave people a pack as they were leaving the church that had food and a little bit of souvenir. Yeah. And that was it. Like, what's the most important thing? My wife and I have been married. And that's like...
Married before God. God approves of the marriage.
Yes.
You know? And I think the problem with weddings nowadays is that we've made some things compulsory that are not.
Yes.
For example, who says you have to hire a makeup artist? A makeup artist alone now is like 100K. Who says you need to hire a professional hairdresser? You know, all these things, they're not compulsory.
They're not compulsory.
They are not compulsory.
If you can afford it.
If you can afford it, fine. But
Fine
if
and
you
good.
can't,
If
if
you
you have a friend that can make your hair nice, it's okay. If you have a friend that does good makeup, it's okay. See,
If you want to do your makeup by yourself,
my wedding
it's still
makeup
okay.
is not the best makeup I've ever done. Do you understand? But guess what? I got married to the love of my life. That's the most important thing. I do makeup now. I'm fine. Like I've done makeup that is fine now. We've had finer photo shoots.
Yeah.
We've looked more beautiful than we did that day. I think there's just an illusion that you must be the most beautiful on your wedding day. I don't even think that's possible because especially, well, maybe if you marry at your richest state, which most people don't. But if you marry at your Sakpa state, as you just get, as things get better, you take care of yourself more. You look better. So the illusion that I have to be most beautiful on my wedding day, please don't be trying to achieve that.
And honestly, I realized that after the wedding, we had a lot of money.
Yeah, we
even had a lot to pay for another year of our
house rent. Yeah.
We had a lot to buy some things. We bought washing machine. We bought a few things. We did our car. We did a lot in our home
honestly,
to make it more comfortable.
Honestly,
after the wedding, because we had a lot of money left over.
After the wedding, we had money.
We had
money.
We
were not broke. We had savings.
But we stocked our house with food. We had savings. We had
then we bought everything we needed to make our home comfortable because we had money after the wedding. And even after buying all those things, we still had money saved.
That's
the biggest flex. The biggest flex is to have money after your wedding.
Yeah.
Because everybody has gone to their house. Now is your time to enjoy and you're not suffering. And I think another thing that we learned from, apart from the fact that we're just like, we can't go overboard for a wedding, we had friends, that had gotten married and that did go into some financial struggles in the process of trying to have a wedding. And we're just like, we can't do that. We certainly will not borrow for a wedding.
And they had some issues with their house, things they wanted that they couldn't get. So we're just like, you know what, it's not worth it. It's actually not worth it. Actually not worth it. And honestly, I'm really grateful. But now, what was the major thing when it came to not having a reception? And it was this: we had to tell
our parents.
Because the way your parents envision your wedding.
Exactly.
That is different from the way you envision it. Yeah. So how did we convince them? First and foremost, I think we had to come in as a team. We had to agree on something and say, okay, it's not that I'm not strong arming you into this, so you're not strong arming me into this. What do you think? Should we push for a reception or not? Me, this is what I think. This is what I think. And we said, okay. We agree. We read the pros and cons. And the pros looked so much better than the cons. We're just like, you know what? We're going with this. So we decided together as a united front and said, this is what we want. Babe, what was the next step?
Yeah, and then we went to meet my parents. The next step was to talk to my parents. So when we went to meet my parents, I was the major voice. And this is one thing when we say that when you're approaching families, if it's my family, I'll be the one talking and he's supporting me. If it's his family, he'll be the one talking and supports, because we just believe that your family already loves and accepts you and they will not reject you. So they
cannot reject you.
They are more open to
you opening eye.
They are more open. Oh God. They are more open to listening to you than to your partner. Yeah. So I just told my parents, and my parents were like, oh, you are our first child, and we really wanted to have a reception. What's going to happen to people? What will people eat? We had answer for that. Oh, we'll give people refreshments after service. Okay, what will happen? Where will people stay? Where will we host our guests? I said, oh, if you have any family members you want to bring home, you can bring them home and host them. We will not be there because everybody has gotten food. So every other question, my parents asked, they say, are you sure this is what you want? Go and think about it. So, no, we've discussed, we've made up our minds. Yeah. And we were set in our ways. Yes. So when they spoke to me, I said the same thing. They spoke to Joshua, he said the same thing. When they saw that they could not convince us, they were like, you know what? It's your wedding. We are not used to this, but
even me, when I told my mom, when we talked about it to my mom, I was the one who was the major voice. So you just have to present a united front and know what you want. Now, apart from that, because weddings are not just about you, they're about a uniting of two families. Exactly. You have to give them something. Exactly. Which is where we give them the traditional wedding.
Yes. So we said,
you know what?
Host everybody, do the party.
Invite everybody.
Yes, do the party you want to do for the traditional wedding. Because after the white wedding, there's no reception. So do the reception for the traditional wedding.
We did not die. You know what? Somebody was telling me that somebody said, why didn't they do reception? It's like they did not have money. And the friend that was telling me was like, he's not happy with that person that said it, that invited. That why would the person say that? I was just like, why are you being happy on my behalf? I did not have the money at that point.
Like,
and I know, like,
see,
nobody's going to put me under
you
pressure.
can't shame the shameless.
You can't.
Like, I remember when I put a tweet on Twitter about how we did a wedding on a budget, and people were dragging us, say, oh, it's because we did not have money. And I said, yes,
we did
I actually
have
did not
money.
have money. Maybe if I had money, my story would be different, but I didn't have money, and I did what was good for me. I did not impress anyone. So this, if you have money, please, this video is not for you. This video is for people who don't have money and are trying to have a wedding on a budget. We don't believe that you should push your wedding off indefinitely because of finances, or because you're trying to have a certain kind of wedding.
And guess what? The financial trend of this nation states that nothing will get cheaper.
Honestly.
Things just keep...
Honestly.
So,
and like right now, if you want to have a wedding with a reception and just... You can't spend less than 5 million.
You can't, honestly.
Honestly. Like decoration, food.
Hall. Let's talk about hall. Halls,
hey.
DJ, videography, photography.
My God.
I
just want to say thank God I'm married.
Suit, wedding gown, your outfits and the plenty changes.
Thank God please.
DJ, all those.
It's okay. Thank God I'm married. To those of you on the streets, please do wedding on the budget, or if you can afford it. Hey, it's your wedding, it's your special day. Go ahead and do what you can. Yeah, but don't push off your wedding indefinitely because of finances.
Don't do that. Yeah. Don't do that. Like, you'll be thankful that you went through with it than trying to say, oh, people, what will people say?
Yeah.
People will be all right. Let me tell you something. No matter what you do, people will find the fault.
I'm telling you.
If you throw the best one, you'll be like, look at all this money they spent. It's the food. The food was not even plenty. The food was not even nice. Like, there's always something that people will have wrong. Yeah. So if you're trying to plan your life based on what people will think, it's a wrong way to start with your life.
Exactly.
One thing that we invested in a lot was premarital counseling. I can say that clearly. Like, we invested in our premarital counseling. In fact, I was not in the state that she was in, and that was not the state that the premarital counseling was holding. In fact, it was going to be physical. So I kept traveling for it, and I'm glad we spent that money on premarital counseling, because what's more important, one day or the rest of your life?
Yeah, and that's the thing. A lot of couples now, when you pay for premarital counseling, when they hear the amount, they're just like, oh my God, but I promise you, you can pay that amount for a whole. Yeah. The amount...
is it whole you're talking about?
The amount... Makeup. You can pay the amount for makeup, or your outfit costs more than premarital counseling. Or the decorator. Let's not even talk about decoration. The decoration costs more than premarital counseling. Guess what? That decoration will be up for at most 24 hours.
And it's down.
And then 2 million, 1.5 million gone. But the premarital counseling is something that will last for the rest of your marriage. It's an investment that you keep on reaping from. See, it's dangerous to get married without proper counsel, because even for people that have proper counsel, marriage is still not easy.
Now imagine that you spend all that money on your wedding and your marriage, sadly and God forbidly, ends. Do you understand? So all that investment, all this investment,
or let's just say you just suffer, you spend all that money on the wedding, and then when you now get married and you're supposed to be relaxing, enjoying each other, both of you are now having problems because you have not properly prepared or you are in a home that is not comfortable because you spent all the money on your wedding. Just make sure you have a budget, know what is important, what is not important, your negotiables, non-negotiables, and have a good wedding. I forgot to
leverage on relationships and then be united front.
Exactly. I forgot to mention that we're also gifted a cake, by the way, of which I was willing to scrap cake. And I believe that anybody planning wedding on the budget, please remove that cake. I'm a baker. Sorry, I'm not trying to destroy my business, but nobody will notice. But if you love cakes and you want cake, that's beautiful. But that's another way to cut money.
Yeah. Anyway. Also, one of the things that was very important to us, like we said, is our honeymoon. Yeah. So apart from when we're buying our clothes, that's like what we're going to be, the materials that we're going to wear. Another thing we paid for at that point was our honeymoon. We paid for somewhere to go to somewhere that was budget friendly. Listen, you don't have to go to Maldives. If you can't go to Maldives, don't go. Like, people like to put off honeymoon so that they can recuperate, save, and get. But the wedding day is not for you, it's for other people. Yeah. So what they're giving for yourself, what are you trying to put for yourself? And that's what we did.
And one budget-friendly place we recommend for honeymoon is Miango Rest Home in Miango in Plateau State, close to Jos. It's a very nice, serene environment, nice food, quiet, good place for honeymoon on a budget.
Also, you can try Lakwe Lakes. You can go to one of the
Airbnbs. You can go to Lakwe. Lakwe Lakes. Lakwe Lakes is expensive, though.
It's more expensive than
Miango is
yes.
expensive. You need money to go to Lakwe Lakes. Let's not lie.
You do. And then you don't need to travel out.
Oh no, you don't need to travel out.
So there are options. There are options within.
Options within
the country
that you can explore.
Even, in fact, if you don't have all of that, you can go to a nice Airbnb, rent it out for a week, stay indoors.
Just make sure you have.
Just make sure you have alone time. That's the most important
after your
thing.
wedding, to relax and recuperate, because planning a wedding is stressful.
It's very stressful.
And when you are going to be exploring each other's bodies sexually, you need to do it in a calm, safe, rested environment. It's very important for building your sexual life. Anyway, said a lot in this video.
Yes, said a lot.
Please like, share,
this is a good
subscribe.
place to plug in the fact that we do premium premarital counseling.
Yes.
If you want to know about the package, please send us a message at the Kesenas on Instagram, and we'll get back to you with how much it costs and everything.
The most premium premarital counseling you can ever find in the world.
And we've had a lot of reviews.
Oh my God, ask people we've counseled. I don't want to overhype, but
it's very hands-on and very practical. Anyway, hope you've learned one or two things, and hope you'll be able to plan that wedding and get married as soon as possible, because you've learned how to plan a wedding on a budget. Bye guys.
See you in our next video.